Hi everyone, this is 설찬 영어. Today is our 753rd day of studying English. We can learn the rules of English composition from 독양형 문법, and we can build a strong foundation of English composition from 청개구령단어 3300, and we can concentrate on the training of making correct English sentences from 도전영자광 수능영단어 9900, a series of 3 books, also known as 가위바위보. After completing all these 5 English study books, we can focus on the training of speaking English fluently and naturally. Today is the 13th day we are in this intensive speaking training in the form of 100 questions and answers. Now, let's get started. Today's question is 당신이 이제까지 마주한 가장 이상한, 가장 미친 짓 한 가지를 말해보세요. 자, 이렇게 질문을 뽑아봤습니다. 자, 이 질문에 대해서 자신의 상황에 맞게끔 말할 내용을 영작을 먼저 합니다. 그런 다음에 이 내용이 입에서 자연스럽게, 유창하게 술술 나올 수 있을 때까지 집중적으로 말하기 훈련을 하는 겁니다. 자, 해볼게요. 당신이 이제까지 마주한 가장 이상한, 가장 미친 짓 한 가지를 말해보세요. Mention one weirdest, craziest thing you've ever come across. 자, 이렇게 해봤어요. Mention one weirdest, W-E-I-R-D-E-S-T, weirdest, craziest, C-R-A-Z-I-E-S-T, thing you've ever come across. 자, 이렇게 해봤습니다. Mention one weirdest, craziest thing you've ever come across. 자, 여기에 대해서 답을 이렇게 한번 해봤어요. 전역 후에 인생을 어떻게 살아야 하나 고민 끝에 다시 서울로 가자 하고 작정을 했죠. After a lot of thought about how to live my life, right after my military discharge, I finally decided I'll go back to Seoul again. 자, 이렇게 봤어요. 자, after a lot of thought about how to live my life, right after my military discharge, I finally decided I'll go back to Seoul again. I'll go back to Seoul again. 자, 이렇게 봤어요. After a lot of thought about how to live my life right after my military discharge, I finally decided I'll go back to Seoul again. 자, 그리고 또 이렇게 한번 해봤습니다. 서울역행 기차표만 간신히 구해서 땡전 한 푼 없이 무작정 상경했습니다. After I managed to get a train ticket to Seoul Station, I went up to Seoul without a penny, without a cent, with no definite plan. 자, 이렇게 봤어요. 자, after I managed to get a train ticket to Seoul Station, I went up to Seoul without a cent, with no definite plan. After I managed to get a train ticket to Seoul Station, I went up to Seoul without a cent, with no definite plan. 수중에 땡전 한 푼도 없었지만 군대 가기 전에 1년 정도 서울에서 생활한 적이 있었고, 제대한 지 얼마 되지 않았을 때라 서울 생활을 다시 시작할 수 있다는 자신감이 있었죠. 자, 이렇게 봤습니다. Though I didn't have a penny to my name, I had the confidence that I could start my Seoul life again, both because I had lived in Seoul for about a year before I entered the army and because it had not been long since I got discharged from military duty. 자, 이렇게 봤습니다. Though I didn't have a penny to my name. I had the confidence that I could start my soul life again. Both because I had lived in Seoul for about a year. Before I entered the army. And because it had not been long since I got discharged from military duty. 자, 이렇게 해봤습니다. Though I didn't have a penny to my name, I had the confidence, UNFIDENC, confidence. So I didn't have confidence. I had the confidence that I could start my Seoul life again, both because I had lived in Seoul for about a year before I entered the army, and because it had not been long since I got discharged from military duty. 일단 숙식을 해결해야 했기에 숙식을 제공해주는 신문 보급소를 찾아가서 신문 배달 일을 시작했죠. First of all, I needed to take care of room and board, so I found a newspaper agency that could provide a place to stay and food to eat, and I started delivering newspapers there. 자, 이렇게 봤어요. 자, 일단 first of all, I needed to take care of room and board. So I found a newspaper agency that could provide a place to stay and food to eat. And I started delivering newspapers there. First of all, I need to take care of room and board, so I found a newspaper agency that could provide a place to stay and food to eat, and I started delivering newspapers there. 숙소에는 저와 사정이 비슷한 젊은이 여러 명이 신문 배달을 하면서 꿈을 키워가며 살고 있더라고요. In the dorm room, there lived several aspiring youngsters who were in a similar situation like me, delivering newspaper. 자, 이렇게 봤습니다. In the dorm room, there lived several aspiring youngsters who were in a similar situation like me, delivering newspapers. In the dorm room, there lived several aspiring youngsters who were in a similar situation like me, delivering newspapers. 그 동료들과 좁은 기숙사에서 서로 부대끼면서 밝은 미래를 꿈꾸며 생활을 시작했죠. Yearning for a bright future, I began to live in that crowded dorm room, interacting closely with other members. Yearning for a bright future, I began to live in that crowded dorm room, interacting closely with the other members. Yearning for a bright future, I began to live in that crowded dorm room, interacting closely with them, interacting closely with the other members. 그러던 어느 날 동갑내기 동료 하나가 저에게 얘기 좀 하자고 밖으로 불렀죠. And then one day, one of my dorm mates called me out to talk to me. And then one day, one of my dorm mates, who was the same age as me, called me out to talk to me. 이렇게 봤어요. And then one day, one of my dorm mates who was the same age as me called me out to talk to me. 뒤따라 나가서 그와 얼굴을 마주했는데 눈 떠보니 내가 병원 침대에 누워있었죠. 왜 내가 여기 누워있지? So, I walked out after him and he stood face to face to talk. Then, I awoke to find myself lying on the hospital bed. Why am I lying here? So I walked out after him. And we stood face to face to talk. Then I awoke to find myself lying on the hospital bed. Why am I lying here? Why am I lying here? So I walked out after him and we stood face to face to talk. Then I woke to find myself lying on the hospital bed. Why am I lying here? 나중에 알고 봤더니 그가 나랑 얼굴을 마주하자마자 나에게 주먹을 날렸는데 내가 넘어지면서 의식을 잃었다고 하더군요. Later, I came to know that he had swung his fist at me as soon as we had stood face to talk. And I had fallen and fainted. Later, I came to know that he had swung his fist at me as soon as we had stood face to face to talk, and I had fallen and fainted. Later, I came to know that he had swung his fist at me as soon as we had stood face to talk, and I had fallen and fainted. 그에 대해 아무런 나쁜 감정이 없던 나는 그의 이해할 수 없는 행동에 당황해서 말이 안 나오더군요. 자, 이렇게 봤어요. I was dumbfounded by his incomprehensible act because I had nothing against him personally. 자, 이렇게 봤어요. I was dumbfounded by his incomprehensible act because I had nothing against him personally. I was dumbfounded by his incomprehensible act because I had nothing against him personally. 자신도 모르는 가운데 나도 누군가의 미움의 대상이 될 수도 있다는 것을 몸소 알게 되었죠. I learned in person that I could be an object of hatred by somebody without even knowing it. 자, I learned in person, 몸소, that I could be an object of hatred by somebody without even knowing it. I learned in person that I could be an object of hatred by somebody without even knowing it. 미안하다는 그의 진실한 사과와 외관상 아무런 상처가 없는 상황에서 의식을 되찾은 것을 다행으로 여기고 나는 그를 용서했고 우리는 각자 성공을 위해 열심히 공부하기로 다짐했죠. With his sincere apology and no superficial wound, I counted myself lucky to regain my consciousness and I forgave him, and we vowed to study hard for our individual success. With his sincere apology and no superficial wound, I counted myself lucky to regain my consciousness, consciousness, and I forgave him, and we vowed to study hard for our individual success. With his sincere apology and no superficial wound, I counted myself lucky to regain my consciousness, and I forgave him, and we vowed to study hard for our individual success. 그때 우리는 각자 꿈이 있었죠. At that time, we each had a dream. At that time, we each had a dream. 자, 이렇게 해봤습니다. 백문백답 13회를 이렇게 해봤어요. 자, 이번에는 오늘 한 13회하고 저번 시간에 했던 12회, 11회, 9회, 10회, 9회까지 쭉 이어서 5개의 질문과 답, 여기에 대한 답을 한번 기억을 더듬어서 눈을 감고 한번 얘기해 보도록 할게요. Question 13. Mention one weirdest, craziest thing you've ever come across. After a lot of thought about how to live my life, right after my military discharge, I finally decided I'll go back to Seoul again. After I managed to get a train ticket to Seoul Station, I went up to Seoul without a cent, with no definite plan. Though I didn't have a penny to my name, I had the confidence that I could start my Seoul life again, both because I'd lived in Seoul for about a year before I entered the army, and because it had not been long since I got discharged from military duty. First of all, I need to take care of room and board, so I found a newspaper agency that could provide a place to stay and food to eat, and I started delivering newspapers there. In the dorm room, there lived several aspiring youngsters who were in a similar situation like me, delivering newspapers. Yearning for a bright future, I began to live in that crowded dorm room, interacting closely with other members. And then one day, one of my dorm mates, who was the same age as me, called me out to talk to me. So I walked out after him, and he stood face to face to talk. Then I awoke to find myself lying on the hospital bed. Why am I lying here? Later, I came to know that he had swung his fist at me as soon as we had stood face to face to talk, and I had fallen and fainted. I was dumbfounded by his incomprehensible act because I had nothing against him personally. I learned in person that I could be an object of hatred by somebody without even knowing it. With this sincere apology and no sufficient wound, I counted myself lucky to regain my consciousness. And I forgave him, and we vowed to study hard for our individual success. At that time, we each had a dream. When did you fall in love for the first time? My family had lived in the same house with the landlord's family since I was an elementary school boy. One of the landlord's daughters was the same age as me, and she was one grade below me. When we were in elementary school, we sometimes argued with each other over the trivial things, and in severe cases, we shouted and swore at each other. And then we became middle school students, and there came a day that I realized she was not the same player. First, she called me differently. She began to call me Oppa. Suddenly, she became an obedient and shy girl, being nice to me. Cupid had shot his arrow right through her heart, so she began to open her eyes to love towards me, and in turn, her enthusiastic and lovely attitude toward me made me open my eyes to love towards her. That was when I was in the third year of middle school, and she was in the second year of middle school. At the bare mention of the word first love, my heart aches. Whenever I get emotional, I miss her like crazy. Are you good at memorizing things? If so, tell me how you memorize English sentences. Frankly, I'm not good at memorizing things. I've seen a person who is really good at memorizing things. I was surprised to see her memorize exactly the same paragraph composed of six to seven sentences, word for word, after reading it just once at a normal speed. Her memory power was prohibitively strong, forcing me to envy her powerful memory span. After that, I came to realize that my memory span is not good enough. But I consoled myself with the thought that I just need more time than those memory geniuses. When it comes to memorizing just one sentence, I'm second to none. It's probably because I can freely use the knowledge of English grammar, but I have difficulty in memorizing a whole paragraph at a time because my memory span is not large enough to deal with it. So I need simple repetition. Here's my method. Let's say I memorize one paragraph made up of 10 sentences. First of all, I memorize the first sentence. When I successfully memorize it 3 times in a row without a single mistake, I memorize the second sentence. When I successfully memorize it 3 times in a row without a single mistake, I memorize the first sentence and the second sentence all together. When I successfully memorize them 3 times in a row without a single mistake, I memorize the third sentence. When I successfully memorize it 3 times in a row without a single mistake, I memorize the first sentence, the second sentence, and the third sentence all together. When I successfully memorize them 3 times in a row without a single mistake, I memorize the fourth sentence. In this way, if I continue memorizing, after a certain amount of time, I can find myself memorize the entire paragraph completely. You know, there's a saying, if you don't have a dime, use 2 nickels. If you are given a chance to relive a day from your life, which day would it be? Well, I have some special days when I have some special days in my life when I felt so happy. I want to relive one of my special days when I crossed the finish line of 42.195 km full course marathon race in 3 hours and 20 minutes or so. On that day, I felt like I finally made it. I can't forget that special day when my heart overflowed with joy, confidence, and pride. I was in my mid-30s then, I guess. In fact, when I was 20, a friend of mine said he was going to take part in a 20-kilometer half-course marathon race, and he suggested to me that I should participate in that marathon race together with him. So I said yes. I had never run the long distance before, and I'd never prepared for the marathon race, but I agreed to his suggestion, counting on my tenaciousness. Because I ran fast from the beginning in that race, I felt much stress in my knees. So, when I ran about 10 kilometers, I was eager to give up the race, but I didn't. With clenched teeth, I ran and ran, enduring the pain in one of my knees. But later, my knee was too painful to keep running. But without giving it up, I walked with a limp at a snail's pace, saying to myself, you must cross the finish line, even if you have to crawl. Do not become a loser. Never give it up. Do not disgrace yourself. And I finally crossed the finish line within the 2.5-hour time limit. Due to the aftermath, I had to have my leg cast for more than a month. So this time, I had practiced running long enough before I participated in that full-course marathon race. This strategic success without injury added bliss to my achievement today. If you were granted 3 wishes, what would they be and why? Well, I have numerous sorts of wishes, and I earnestly wish that my wishes came true. But wishes are just wishes. how meaningful is this, really? But I'll tell you only 3 wishes I really want to come true. My first wish would be to have exuberant imagination. Using my fertile imagination, I'd like to write awesome novels. With all the imagination I can muster, I want to write utopian novels, didactic novels, SF novels, detective novels, etc. If my novels can make people have heartfelt smile, move them to tears, give them courage and energy to keep going, I'll be really happy. And my second wish would be that my 94-year-old mother could maintain just the status quo of health and live at least up to 100 years old. I want to buy some time to be a good son. I've yet to do something she might like and be happy with. And last, my third wish. My third wish would be that no one who has a strong will to live would lose their health. And I earnestly wish to have the ability to cure any disease, especially cancer. What the frick does certain breast cancer to a young mother who is supposed to live a happy second life with a marriage? I'd like to give a present of complete recovery to my niece, to my best friend, and to all the other cancer patients who have a strong will to live. These are 3 wishes I have. Now, this is all for today. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the like button if you think this video is helpful for you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day and see you again in the next video. Bye.